Coffee.
Riveting.
To say the
Oh.
least.
Hopefully it goes better.
I
than
usually
the
try to
logo
go in
last
like
time,
this.
Because, it's not a good indication.
Yeah.
Or, well, the cooperative.
That's why I'm recording the
You
start.
have like quorum, members are present, we can just start our agenda.
All right. Call the meeting to order. Dr. Collins, will you please lead us in the flag salute?
Right into your heart, veterans make salute, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, is that not the right one?
That's the right one. Roll call.
We just now did the pledge of allegiance. She's having a hard time connecting.
Why?
Do you want another invite?
Director Green, Director
She
Sangster.
doesn't have her phone,
Here.
if you can send it to me.
Director Palafox.
Here.
Hold on. Director Calvin.
We're using my phone. Sorry, okay.
Director Parent.
Here.
I need a motion to approve the GSA meeting agenda.
I'll move to approve
Text
it.
the email address for you to send it
She's at home, it's fine. Sang, or Palafox and Sang, I'm sorry. Parent.
Second, mailbox.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Got 4-0-0. Okay. Rob?
Any public comments for items not on the GSA agenda? None, we'll move on. Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Minutes from last meeting, I will motion to approve.
Director Parent?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
0. Okay, so
I
it's
wasn't there
3,
for it.
Yeah.
3, 0, 1, 1. Up.
Okay. Moving to board action item number 1.
We're on the special presentation? None. Staff committee reports? None.
11.
We're past that.
We're on board action item number 1.
Review and discuss receive file the invoice for number 10, date 3/13/19 for payment for portional share of the Patrol's Basin GSP for $3,097.90.
Items numbers 1 and 2 are related to 2 separate invoices. So just to clarify that on the invoice dated 4/8/2019, we would only be paying $3,097.90. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And on the second invoice,
That's the second item, or just that's the same?
we can review that in a second. Any public comment on action item number 1? Any board comment? On item number 1.
I don't know how to invite
I have no comments.
Then a few words tonight.
her. I need you to open this. I don't have Wayne's.
Car wash out there or what? Sure.
Is it an email address?
Is there any questions from the board?
No.
No.
Are we awaiting connection with?
Yeah.
We're trying, we have to use a different address and we're having a.
Kelly, I do have a question. The meeting last night, was there any talk of ETA for grant money starting to come in for reimbursement?
There wasn't any specific discussion on the grant money for reimbursement,
Okay.
but everything has been submitted.
Right.
Probably by or around July, we should have a firm answer on when we're gonna actually get reimbursed for this. There has been confirmation that what we've spent so far, both directly through these invoices and through Blaine's time, is eligible for reimbursement, so.
Oh, wow.
It all counts towards our percentage. So we'll be reimbursed pretty much all of these invoices and a good chunk of Blaine's time, I believe.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Well,
all of it will be subject to the reimbursement up to our percentage.
Okay.
Unless you have any further public comment or board comment?
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
And this is item 1?
Item one.
I guess
And
motion to receive and file, is that what I should say?
Yes.
Okay.
Director Palafox,
Yes.
Director Calvin,
Yes.
Director Parent,
Yes.
Vice President Sangster,
Yes.
approved.
Item
4,
number
0,
2,
1 absent.
review, discuss, receive, file invoice number 11 dated 4/8/19 for payment of proportional share of the Paso Robles Basin GSP for $1,670.40.
Any public comment on this item? Any comment from the board?
I just have one. On the invoice part, it shows the 3,000 for the first one and then the 1,000. What's the 813?
The 813 is the invoice prior to that.
Okay, for
So,
last month?
so in the sequence of events for these invoices, this one and the previous one, they were received on the same day that we had our last GSA meeting.
Okay.
So they couldn't have been approved then, but they included that in this amount that was being
I
approved.
remember you guys saying that there was 2 more, but you guys couldn't add it.
Right. So that's why they are always showing as being late, is because we don't get them in time to actually get them to you guys.
Okay.
That was my only comment, was a clarification that the 8/13/21 was paid previously and the 3,097 not even being approved in board action item number 1. So this invoice is strictly for the $1,670.40. Any other board comment?
I have none.
Do we have a motion?
No, it's
I'll
just saying
motion.
Helene's
I
offline.
will motion to,
Parent,
receive and file.
I will second that motion.
okay. Director Parent,
Yes.
Director Calvin,
Yes.
Director Sangster,
Yes.
sorry, Director Palafox,
Yes.
4, 0, 1 absent. I just got board comment.
Do we have any board comments related to GSA?
Yes, I have one. I read in the news something about, it sounded like there was some back and forth over chapter 6 through 9. And there's a large audience present. Can I get,
There's usually a large audience.
okay.
Lately,
Last night was
every time now.
the latest cooperative committee meeting.
Mhm.
There was a larger than normal audience.
Mhm.
Chapter 9, if you're not familiar, is the one that actually outlines the projects for the basin.
Mhm.
There is a lot of issues to do with the projects and their viability, their costs, basically everything from their viability through their actual implementation. Supervisor Arnold was there in place of Supervisor Pachong,
Mhm.
and she very strongly voiced her opinion of the need for pumping reduction over long-term projects that aren't proven, have no real proof of viability. So the chapter 9 and 11 both are still at the cooperative committee.
Mhm.
They are released to the public. You can get them on the GSP website.
Mhm.
Excuse me. But they have not passed that level. We will probably talk about them at our next GSP meeting or GSA meeting, but it hasn't really been released to the GSA. However, it is released to the public, which by default releases it to the GSA. I'll be working with Blaine to refine our position on that. I would strongly suggest that all of you read as many of those chapters as you can. There's a lot of holes in all the chapters from chapter 1 up through chapter 11. And my statement last night after agreeing with Supervisor Arnold is that we've been kicking the can on a lot of these things, and we really can't afford to get to the end and then try to patch them all up, because that's not gonna work. So, yeah, the decision last night was to bring them back to another cooperative committee meeting, or chapter 9 specifically, to solve some of the problems. The staff, on the staff level, we're gonna try to get to a point where we're all comfortable with it. The rendition that went to the cooperative committee was already a vast improvement over the original one. But again, there's still a lot of holes, there's still a lot of questionable material that really is not going to ever be viable, in my opinion, based on what we've seen so far. If you guys have any questions on any of those chapters, feel free to reach out to Blaine and myself, and we can talk about them. If you have anything that you want to submit directly to the committee or to cooperative committee, you can either do that through our GSA, through Blaine or myself, or you can submit comments on their website if you want to submit them directly.
So it sounds like, one member specifically wants pumping reductions, is that what you said?
Well, I think basin-wide, the desire is to reduce pumping.
Okay.
But there is an error about straying away from that because of the implications that it means for vineyard owners. The vineyard owners are pushing more towards projects, which would be spread out over the entire GSA or the entire GSP basin boundary. Although most of those projects aren't really viable.
Right.
A lot of what was in chapter 9 regarding a reduction of pumping was basically voluntary reduction, and they're just going to charge you more if you use more. Well, the statement that was made by probably four or five, maybe 6 people at that meeting last night was that the people who have the money don't care. So they will just continue to spend money and continue to spend money as long as they're achieving what they want to get. They don't care about the loss. So if there's no enforcement of pumping regulation, they're not going to do anything. We're going to have the same problem, and we're just going to perpetuate the overdraft into the foreseeable future.
There would still have to be a cap, because any entity that's a for-profit, i.e. a winery or a vineyard, has the ability to change their revenue. And in effect, pay more for water because you're going to charge more for wine.
Yeah.
So there needs to be some sort of a check and balance in place that would limit the number of acre feet of water or whatever the factors are that they're calculating it as to keep things within a reasonable limit.
And that's what is being asked for, both by our GSA and by the county's GSA. I can't really speak for Paso or Shannon San Juan. It doesn't seem like they're as concerned, but basically what we're asking for is some sort of a cap, some sort of mandatory reduction given a set of circumstances. So if we get to the minimum threshold, then we need to implement mandatory reduction. And that's really the only way you're going to stop from going deeper and deeper and deeper.
And the other side of that, besides the fact that there wasn't any real request for restrictions, is the projects that they're talking about for bringing water into the basin are not really viable at all. They're ones that we've known about for a long time. There's just not anything innovative in the reports.
Well, all these projects are in the tens of millions of dollars.
And then there's that.
And there's a lot of public there, like I said, but there was a lot of outspoken public about the overall operation cost. The consultants had outlined a $2 million a year budget to manage this plan into the future. So bear in mind, this plan costs less than, obviously less than 2 million, it's like a 1.5 or something.
Well, 1.2.
1.2 million.
They want 1.5, but it's 1.2.
So, for developing this plan for 1.2, they want $2 million a year to manage this and to propose things. Not actually to do anything,
Right.
just to manage it.
Payable to who?
Well, they didn't directly say them, but I'm sure that that's probably who they're inferring. But the, that overall cost was there, and a lot of public stood up and spoke against that as well, because obviously that money's gotta come from somewhere, and it's not really a viable thing to try to get $2 million out of, property owners that may or may not be barely making their mortgage.
Will there be discussion about who, or looking at a selection of who would be managing this moving forward, or if it's gonna be the same consultants, concerning their previous track record on spending money?
I don't know that it's gonna be them.
I would definitely have concerns if it was them.
I don't think that there's enough people happy with them to get a quorum to do that.
Right.
Most likely, it would be some other JPA between the 4 agencies. But even then, it may be just some sort of a oversight by county flood control, and then specific projects would be done through a JPA with the affected agencies.
Okay.
And that would probably make the most sense, and that would cost the least.
But the wording's kinda gray on all that, like as it is now.
Yeah, and
I
that's
mean,
part
it's
of
like,
it.
it looks like we're all in this together. That's
And that's
kinda what I'm
needs to be
reading.
fixed.
And and that's, I mean, nobody's handing us money to help us build our wastewater plant, so.
Right.
Groundwater charge in Shandon, you'll never see that here.
Yeah.
So I don't wanna pay for it. Sounds like the
There should
county's
be-
on the same page.
There shouldn't be any cost to a GSA that has no benefit from that project.
Right.
Can we get out of this GSA?
Good question.
We can. It's not gonna be super difficult, but it's gonna require some effort and some expense on the district's part.
Maneuvering too.